Hey everyone. So today I'm gonna do something different. I have an idea that Spirit's been trying to push me to do, and that's just to use cards to kind of validate, have more perspective, kind of clarity on some of the readings that I've done and will do in the future. I'm not really sure how this is going to work out though, because I am learning I've never done like crime cards, so I'm kind of going with my intuition and trying to pull them and do it the best way that I can. So I'm going to try and show you the cards here. I don't have a great setup, so as we get a better setup, or as I get more technologically advanced, which I'm not really, so bear with me, I'm going to kind of just like show you the cards that I pulled, and then we're going to kind of go over them the best way that we can. Hopefully this isn't too long of a video because I don't have a lot of time to do it, and now it's a matter of perception and perspective. So I'm going to try to understand the cards the best way that I can. Also kind of remembering what I've gotten in previous readings, which my previous readings were all over the place. These cards are all over the place. I'm not really sure because there's been times in Summer Wells' case, and that's what case I'm doing today, where I've gotten an object being used, and then I've seen her trip, and then I've seen like it be like someone wailing on her. So there's been different things I've gotten bits and pieces, and it's been really hard to see. It's not always clear for whatever reason. And sometimes when it's going to be a while before a case is solved, sometimes it's not clear. Sometimes the collective plays into that, and sometimes we just don't see everything. So I'm going to just go along. I'm going to show you the cards, and I'm going to try to go and like tell you why I think what I've gotten. So, like, again, bear with me as far as this is concerned because, all right. So these, I'll explain the way that I did it in just a minute. Sorry. I know it's a lot of cards. Okay, so again, that's the best I can figure out how to do this for now. So please don't give me a hard time. All right, so we've gotten the way that I pull these is I mix the decks together, and kind of try to see what extra I can get with each of the decks. So we have an object of drugs, D's. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but I do feel that maybe she had gotten into some, but definitely we know the family's involved in that, right? Then there's a sign of being unconscious. Now that makes sense as when I've fallen in the visions that I've gotten. But what threw me is the knife and the natural object. Now I pulled these ones a couple times because I was getting confused because I kept pulling the knife. Well, I've never seen a knife, so I don't know if that it says knife sharp object. So I'm not really sure if they were trying to say, because it also has natural object next to it, so it can be just something sharp that's like naturally, that might be kind of like a knife. I've seen that in prior readings, but I did not see that in her last reading. I still don't think it was premeditated. I think that whatever was done, it was in a fit of rage and anger, which is what I'm kind of getting when I'm doing this. So I did pull up Summer's picture, and I was like, I couldn't breathe during it. Now I'm getting a headache. I've always gotten a headache with her. So I always feel like there is something that happened with her head, and there's some kind of trauma there, definitely. And then there's the trap. So I feel like she was trapped in the situation. She was trapped in her house. And it comes in twice in both cards. There's a trapped card with the first cards I pulled, and then the trap card with the second card I pulled. So I feel like she was very much trapped in this situation with this family where she couldn't get out. And I feel like sometimes she wanted to get out. And I'm just going to tell you guys what I get as I'm going, so I'm sure intuitive information will flow. There's a reason that Spirit's having me do this. I think it's to up my game a little bit, and to up my readings a little bit, to up everything a little bit. So also give me a little bit of clarity. Then we have the missing card, which we all know that she's still missing, and the death card, which is, we can take that at face value, in my opinion. And then we have the knife card again. So some way, shape, or form, there's one involved in some way, whether that was I just grab something and use it, or I don't know, because I've never seen that previously in my visions, but I have been seen getting hit and having someone wailing on me. I was just never shown that. So this is sometimes coming from a kid, although she, on the other side, they're old souls, they're not really kids. she's still trying to show the best she can without, sometimes I don't see everything. So I'm not really sure, but it did come through twice, so it's worth mentioning here. Then we go on to the perpetrator, perpetrators. And again, this is all alleged and entertainment purposes only. So we have the good guy and the caregiver. Now, I feel like this whole time, our caregiver, who we can take as a parent, a parental figure, is pretending to be the good guy. That's how I take these cards. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean a male. Anybody can be a good guy. It's just a card. So I take those two cards together as, oh, and there's a success card after that. So I take it as that they've been successful in playing off the good guy for most people. Most people. Okay, then we have but they're actually the devil, because then the devil card comes in. So we have the good guy, the caregiver pretending to be the good guy. They've been successful in mostly doing that. And then we have, but they're actually the devil and they're actually a terrorist, because I got terrorism here. That's how I'm taking that first row of cards, okay, together. Then we have giant couple. They are big people. It doesn't necessarily mean tall. It can mean larger in other areas. And we got the couple. So mom and dad, allegedly couple. Then we have the false person. So they've always brought in a false person. They've always said that someone else is involved. I and myself have never gotten anybody else involved. I myself have always seen the same people involved in it, mostly mom, but dad comes into play too as well. I'm going to have to do another reading on this, I think, even though I didn't want to. I've always struggled with, like I said, it's been all over the place. I can't help what I see. I can only try to perceive it the best way that I can. And with the cards, I try to perceive it the best way that I can. But I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a picture here. And I don't know. Too many readings, you can kind of screw things up. And so that's what I'm not trying to do. But anyways, the false person, as I take as, they've always tried to throw in a false person. They've always tried to say she was a kidnapped, sex trafficked, all that kind of stuff. False person is not a real person. It's just someone that they've tried to blame. That's how I take it. So we have the good guy. We have the caregivers being successful and pretending to be the good guys, but they're actually the devil and the terrorist, and they're larger people. There are a couple, and they've tried to throw in a false person. Then you also have the terrorist card come in again, and you have spouse, family member, and father. So that kind of, that's again the couple, the spouse, and the father, family member, and terrorist. That all comes in together. So we're saying that basically the family and the spouse and the father and the family member are all terrorists. And the family member could actually be spouse, father. We might have another family member that knows something, which I would go towards the grandmother. I think she knows more than she's letting on, and that can be the extra family member here, because I don't think I have a grandmother card, so it would be spouse, father, and family member. There's 3 people that we know that were there that know about it. They're actually the terrorists, because that card comes in before the other. So that's how I'm going to take those. So I'm perceiving it. Okay. So now we have her location. All right. So her location is, we have road, mountains, a fire, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever gotten fire in hers, but I cannot remember all of my readings and everything about that, and home. So they could have burned evidence as well, and wooded area. So we all know that their home is in the mountains next to a road. There's a wooded area, and it's private property. So we've got road, mountains, fire, home, wooded area, and private property. That's pointing to their private property. That's pointing to their house, where I feel that it happened, and probably where she is. She's either on or very close to that property, on somebody else's. She could be. I think the location I got in the last reading is correct, and I've gotten many similar things in other readings. So this is saying that she's on the property. Road, because her house is next to a road. Mountains, fire, home, wooded area, private property. And if anybody can send me a water map of that area, or a map of just that area, or maybe a property map or something like that, I will definitely try pendulum on it and see if we can get more specific location for summer. But as of now, the maps that I do have an atlas. I doubt I can even find the place on the atlas. So I need something like a property map, a water map, something of that. If anybody can get me that, I will work on that. Okay. Then I added the extra cards. So we have wooded area, underground. Now the basement I pulled, which I thought was interesting because she used to live in the basement. So I don't think she's in the basement. I think maybe that something had happened in the basement, or the basement is still relevant. And then there's a vehicle, which I saw in the last reading, is I saw that they had her in a vehicle at some point, and then they drove her somewhere. So that's where the vehicle comes in. And then we have in nature. So I definitely feel like she's underground some way, shape, or form. She was taken by a vehicle, and she is in nature in a wooded area where mountains and private property and a road and a home. The home is there. So home, private property, wooded area, that's their property. Okay, they got a lot of property there. That's their property. Then we have proper burial. And again, we got burned. So I found that interesting because the fire came in. So they could have burned evidence, but it comes in as the body. So I don't know if they tried to do that or not, because I never seen that, but it's coming through in the cards. Okay, then we have trauma. I have to hurry because I have a reading in like 10 minutes. So we have the trauma. We know that Summer endured a lot of trauma, and we know that there was trauma in regarding to her passing. We have the greed card, which we know that in many ways they're greedy. The travel card, I'm not really sure. I think that they've traveled since then. And party. They did like to party all the time. They like to do things all the time. We have the paranormal card. I don't know exactly what that means. We have the false flag. The false flag is then throwing up, oh, she was abducted, she was sex trafficked, all of that. We have explosive. I feel like there was an explosive something that happened in regards to all of this, because we have explosive and we have anger. So something very explosive caused them to get angry and for this situation to get out of control. Then we have the sixth sense card in between there. So I don't know if Summer actually had a sixth sense about something or someone else did, but that comes in. It could also be in regards to me, I guess, but I want to take it as somebody had a feeling somewhere, shape, or form. I don't understand the paranormal card, but we'll leave that up to interpretation. We have the anger card and the explosive card. So I feel like, you know what? I kind of take it like this, that I feel like someone got really angry and mad at her, and she had the sixth sense to try to get away and run, because I always see Summer running. So I think at some point she did try to run and get away. And that might be her sixth sense. Like she knew something was going to happen and she tried to run. That's how I take it. We have a meeting. So I feel like they're, I don't know how to take that meeting card. Neither is, I don't know, but it's interesting. It's next to the solve card. So it's possible that there's I don't know. I don't know how to take that meeting card. This says it's going to be solved though eventually. Because I pulled the solve card. I also pulled the solve card in Elizabeth, and that was solved. So I'm going to say that this is saying that it's going to be solved, and there's a perversion boner zone card, which we all feel like she was abused in some way, shape, or form, allegedly. There's some type of surveillance, which, again, there's been videos out there and stuff, so that could also mean that. There's DNA. If they ever find her, there is DNA. There's a timeline issue, which we always feel like there's a timeline issue. There's something going on with the timeline in Summer Wells' case that is not right. I got it in the very first reading I did. I do remember saying the time was off. I always get the time is off. So there is a timeline issue. Things aren't always as we think in this. The truth is going to come out. There's a truth come out. And also the church, which I thought was interesting, because the church, it centers around the church and Don's beliefs and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean they're necessarily involved, but it's in the situation. Okay, then we have DEA, which there could be DRUG involved in all of this. We do know that they were doing them. There's the justice card, planted evidence. So it's possible that they planted evidence, which also saying that someone came and kidnapped her is planting evidence. So I think maybe they've tried to make it look like something it's not. They're getting away with that, by the way. There's some sort of affair, which that could even be going back to the perversion card in regards to Summer. There's an investigation going on that's being kept secret, and especially into their phones, because I got in the investigation card, the phone, and the kept secret. So they're still investigating, but I feel like the phone, there's some stuff on the phone, or a phone, that's really important. I don't know if they kept their phones or not, but there's being stuff that's kept secret in regards to this case, especially from the police. So the police are investigating it when people don't think that they're doing their job, but they are. They're doing it quietly because they're trying to catch a slip up. That's in my opinion. So again, if anybody can get me a map, like a property map, of their house, or a water map or something of that sort, I can try to pinpoint a better area. It's almost impossible though, because they need a warrant to go onto that property. And a way this is coming out, it's on the property. So that's my opinion on these cards. I wanted to share it with you. It's something extra I'm going to try to do with the readings. I'm actually feel like so I am working and channeling as I'm doing this. I feel it. But this, let me know if you guys like this and how you think that this went along. Hopefully I can get a better setup and it will be better the way that I do it. But for now, this is how I want to do it, and this is how I can do it. Oh, there's one more thing I want to do real quick. So I just wanted to pull these cards. You can only pull 3 of them, otherwise it gets not correct. So these are actually really good cards. So it actually kind of validates the reading. It's just a tie-up. It's important details are not being revealed to the public at this time. I just said there's an investigation going on and they're trying to catch a slip up and all of that. So that is important. I also got DNA in there, and it says forensic science field will provide important clues. So that's DNA, forensic science, anything, if they're able to. Once, I feel like at some point they're going to be able to do this, whether it's now or way in the future. The forensic science is going to play a big role in that. And then argument or fight is a strong factor, which every single reading that I've done on Summer Wells, I've gotten her mom getting mad at her, her running, there being an argument or a factor, there being a lot of commotion every single time I've done a reading. So there is anger, argument factor all around this situation. Like, I don't feel like it was something, it would happen in the heat of the moment is what I'm hearing. It wasn't something that was planned, but it was heat of the moment type of situation. And what I've never known is if the father was home or not. So I've never really seen, I've gotten a glimpse of him, but I always just see mom allegedly. This is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. So those are the 3 cards that I wanted to kind of tie up the reading with. And thank you guys so much for your love and support. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm going to try, like I said, to kind of add these on or do extra readings with some of the cases I've done, or do more onto the readings that I do. I feel like it helps kind of clarify things a little bit, and even helps me channel a little bit more in. And there's always a readings, like I always tell people when we first start doing readings or anything, cards and are always good to improve our intuition. So I will always use my readings first and foremost, but usually these should validate, because that's what cards are, an extension of you, just like any other tool. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and thank you for your love and support, and I will see you next time.